Good morning and welcome to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. We have a ton of great things to talk about on today's comics that are on Final Order Cutoff for June 30th. Totally different from January. June 30th. We have an amazing special guest in the way of Alex Paknadel. We have a large theme of California across multiple books at Lunar, and we get to talk about where you get your books. But the key place is your local comic shop. So join us after these credits for a great show.
Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you.
All right, and today we are focusing on comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, June 30th. We have quite a few great ones to talk about, but we also get to talk a little bit about where you get your comics from, which is an odd topic, isn't it, Kyle?
It is. I mean, mainly because it's the reason you and I don't sleep at night recently. So, the clearer the clearer we can make it, the easier it is for everybody these days. So, there's been a lot of work in this, and now that things are getting clearer, they're as clear as mud. Let's be real. We've got some answers and some direction.
Well, let's start with the easy part. The one thing you can guarantee is if you have a local comic shop, you can go there. You can talk to the man or woman behind the counter, whoever happens to be the person selling you books and ordering them, and you can place orders with them. It is why we exist as a show, because we tell you if you go to your local comic shop before the Monday of Final Order Cutoff and place an order for a comic, there is no reason your local comic shop shouldn't be able to track down the books that you are looking for, so long as they have access to these various distributors we're going to get into. But that's the chaos of it. For the past 2+ decades, roughly 27 years, I want to do the math and saying.
Yeah, give or take. That sounds right.
There has been one distributor that carried it all for comics, and that was Diamond Comics Distribution, part of the Jeppy family chain of businesses, and everything from DC to Marvel, from Antarctic Press to Xenoscope, was out of Diamond Distribution. But back in 2020, things changed. We saw an end to the monopoly of Diamond that created distributors like Lunar. We saw, what was Midtown's?
I don't remember.
Yeah, the
It
Rise
was
and
just a
Fall.
string of letters.
We saw major distributors such as Penguin Random House, Simon and Schuster, Universal Distribution, and others step into the reign, along with new ones that have popped up very recently. So if you are the retailer placing the orders, it can be a little confusing. And even for the consumer who does like to have that behind the curtain, look at how comics come in new, it is very confusing. I mean, Kyle and I live this every day, and would you say it's an easy thing that we do?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. The fact that I still do it is sometimes shocking to me.
But there is a minor answer in sight.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that, Kyle?
So you guys who are around the EXP a lot know that our friend Brian Garside from Managed Comics, who's on the Comic Industry Insiders live show, is one of these guys that likes to put things in order. Well, Brian has done that. He has put together this amazing Google Drive, Google Sheet thing where it is every publisher. By the way, apparently A Kid in a Comic is the Antarctic Press is actually, in terms of the alphabet, like not that close to the top, actually.
Oh,
anyway,
landed somewhere. That's great to see.
Right, Antarctic Press. Right, exactly. So Antarctic Press, right here. Boom, we go to Antarctic Press. They're with Massive at Lunar. This is a document that tells you every publisher and where they have wound up. So if you're looking to buy Humanoids, right now, there isn't any place that isn't Diamond. But you can go to some of these other ones, like Invader Comics, and be like, oh, hey, they're over at Lunar. This is hugely helpful for your local comic shop, right? Keen Spot at Lunar. Now you know where to get your Mark Spears. This is hugely helpful for both you and the comic shop, because now you can go into the local comic shop and be like, hey, I want to get this book from Mad Cave Studios. And if your comic shop goes, I don't even know where to get that, you go, well, it's on this document at Lunar. Or, hey, I want to get this thing from Midnight Factory. Well, it's in Massive at Lunar. It just helps. It will be hugely helpful for your local comic shop to know where to get books.
And that's one of the things that we really try to emphasize here. If your local comic shop isn't aware of the EXP or the Order Up show, this is something fun you can put in front of them, and hopefully it helps. We're not guaranteeing it helps, but hopefully it's something that they can spread to all the fellow customers that you get to share your shop with, and allow those customers to get their orders in on time, so your local comic shop has the orders going into Order Up, and everyone can get their comics on release date because the orders were placed prior to final order cutoff. So this is something not only to share with your local comic shop, but to share with your comic reading friends, people who are looking for new books, because that's one of the things we cover, but also just people curious where you find these things, having that insider look at how the industry works, because our objective is to be nothing but informative for you on what is coming out, how to get it, and that, of course, reminder to let your local comic shop know before they have to finalize their orders, so you can guarantee those books are waiting for you.
So those of you who, again, who want to see this, it's going to be all over social media and the big news sites today, I'm sure, because this is something that we've been clamoring for a while. But beyond that, it will be linked to the EXP website, and will be on the EXP socials here after the show. And again, this is going to be a living document. Brian is not just going to abandon this and be like, okay, it's done. There were publishers today asking him to be added and letting him know their distribution status and where they're at. So again, I mean, it's more than just these big, we've got Panelfly, Simon & Schuster, SCB Distributors, Filbo, Ingram, like the ICV2 distribution channel. Like, there's a lot of other options on here. So again, everybody who is doing this there's a check mark box for them. So again,
I mean,
we will be linking this to the EXP, and we will have information to contact Brian if you are a publisher who needs to be added.
yeah, I mean, and as you said, it is living. I mean, I can already see a few things like Yen Press is not only available through Diamond, it is available through Hachette distribution. So I will make sure to reach out to Brian and let him know so we can have a little Hachette tab, as a number of great comic publishers use that. But there are quite a few of those options. And it is when we come together and apply this information, it makes everyone's life notably easier, because this is something my staff have been asking me to make for ages. And I am nowhere near as talented as Brian on this. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and like I will say this too, like I'm getting blown up right now from a local comic shop who like is like, "Oh my god, we were just trying to figure this out an hour ago," and I'm like, "It's done."
There it is.
The last thing I will say, guys, this is an example of why we need universal standard data. Okay? Why we need everything to kind of filter through a data set rather than individual distributors. This would be a much easier thing to do if we had everybody reporting in the same way. Anyway, I'm going to get off the Comet Standard high horse, and let's talk about FOC.
All right. So for those of you guys who are looking to place your orders this weekend for comics that are on final order cutoff this Monday, June 30th, there are now two main websites, at least for this week, that you're going to want to use. And unfortunately, neither of those are the classic we used to go to of Previews World. No, now, if you would like your Dark Horse, IDW, Marvel, Boom Studios, Distillery, and a small handful of other publishers, you're going to want to go to prhcomics.com, a website that will look like this. We'll load that up on screen right now. But it
Sorry,
is
I was pinging the Hachette thing.
prhcomics.com. Yeah, prhcomics.com. You will see the website. You can see right here, FOC June 30th, 2025. Order these titles by Monday. I love that they are listening to us. They, have that. They probably did that entirely on their own. I would likely thank the incredible Matthew Klein for that one, a PRH representative who used to be a comic shop employee. But when you click on that, you will see a website like this. Make sure you sort it by A to Z. For some reason, it auto sets at random, which is confusing. A to Z, much easier. But if you're looking for any of the other distributors, DC, Image, Mad Cave, Oni, countless other distributors, you're going to want to go to lunardistribution.com. You'll be introduced to a website like this. You just scroll down a small bit to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're on the right date, June 30th, right there for this week, and you can see everything there. Now, we're going to start it off with Penguin Random House, just because. Why not? And right off the bat, we have a fun one. That is a comparative or a combination, a crossover, words, how they work. A crossover of two major publishers, Archie and Dark Horse, in Archie versus Minor Threats. For those not familiar with Minor Threats, that is the incredible universe created by Patton Oswalt and Jordan Bloom. And now we're bringing in Archie veteran and comic retailer Timmy Hague to do this combo with the unbelievable artwork of Scott Koblish. As Sabrina leads the school of Riverdale High on a field trip to the home of Minor Threats. I will always forget this, so I'm going to scroll down and get this. Twilight City. Sabrina is looking for a mystical artifact. However, Twilight City is perhaps not the place to F around and find out, as we will see as our innocent cast of 1950s-esque Riverdale citizens comes up in a dark modern world of superheroics and vigilantism. This is a weird combination, almost as weird as our recent Archie meets Jay and Silent Bob, but in the same.
And I just got my Archie meets Jay and Silent Bob commission ordered. So like, I don't want that one to end. I don't want to call that one weird because my Jughead and Jay Muse having a cheeseburger eating contest is not here yet.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I will give Archie a lot of credit. They've been leaning into modern comics a lot more. They're no longer just Canada's #1 comic. They have, been doing facsimiles, reprinting some of the classic beloved Archie first appearances. and goofy and definitely less socially fly by night covers of the past. But getting these crossovers, I think, will get a whole new fan base, more than just the Riverdale TV series or the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix, into Archie. Archie meeting Jay and Silent Bob, Archie fighting the cast of Minor Threats seems interesting. And I mean, the three people involved on this book in writing are people who know comics. You have a comic retailer, hardcore comic fan. I mean, one of my favorite things when Patton Oswalt used to do comedy reality TV shows was him going into comic shops and talking about picking up his pool with Brian Posehn, another great comedian who is now a comic book writer. So these guys, they have a stake in the game. They care about it. They love comics. So them writing comics, I think, will lead to them being good quality comics.
There's a
Yep.
great story about Brian Posehn and Patton Oswalt. Years ago at C2E2, Patton was giving a panel, and Brian and Blaine Capatch and a couple of other comedians who were friends with Patton, Kyle Kinane was there, snuck into the back row and started quote tweeting the panel incorrectly at Patton during the panel. And it kept throwing Patton off, and he kept going. And at one point, he realizes that they're in the back of the room just messing with him. And he tries to drag him up on stage. And he says a thing that I still quote multiple times a week. A nerd's biggest fear is to have their obscure reference gun jam at the worst possible time. And it's true. So that was a great day. And those guys, again, really care about this business. Like, Brian showed up on last minute's notice to Comics Pro to talk about comics and to do stand-up for us. Because he loves comics and he wanted IDW to be successful at Comics Pro, so he shows up. Patton Oswalt sitting at a table signing, I don't know how many copies of Minor Threats he signed, and he signed my copy of Happy. He signed a ton of stuff for people. Just spending an inordinate amount of time talking to retailers and talking about comics. So again, these are two people who really genuinely care.
Yeah, so that is an exciting one.
Timmy.
Yeah. So we have a lot of great reasons to check out Archie versus Minor Threats. But next one I want to talk about is a brand new book from Boom Studios, Blink and You'll Miss It. And I hope
I'm so glad you talked about this one.
So, you know what? I want to hear you talk about it, Kyle. Ethan Parker, Griffin Sheridan. Tell me about Blink.
But Keith Browning art. That painted style of Keith Browning on the interiors. This is a book. This is a love story of love gone wrong and the mystery surrounding love in a small town. But it's deeper than that. It's science fiction meets a murder, meets a mystery, meets a classic fairy tale story. Keith Browning, this is his comic debut, but Keith Browning has been around for a long time. If you know some of the underground scene where Keith cut his teeth. So again, just know that this painted style you're going to really like. But it's these two, it's Melody and Jesse. They've fallen out of love, and the town where they met and were connected has gotten different, and they're trying to solve the mystery of what has changed. This to me feels like what's the video game where you can rewind time 15 seconds?
Oh, Life. My staff are gonna kill me. This is one of their most beloved games.
Right. Anyway, it's that. It has that vibe of slice of life mystery, slice of life fairy tale. Yeah, it's gonna bug me too. And
Life is Strange.
Life is Strange. Shout out to Life is Strange. Thanks, Greg Hopkins. Shout out to Greg from Boom Studios for being in the comments. But again, this book to me, this is the book. I'll be honest. This is the Boom book I'm most excited for this week. I actually am ordering all the covers. for myself, and probably B of the probably an extra few copies of the Ward variant, which is the B cover, the Christian Ward variant, because it's just so psychedelic and beautiful. So again, shout out to this book. I know I ordered 25 copies for myself for my LCS, so I can get the 1 in 25 variant.
Yeah, no, I mean it is awesome. I'm gonna message Greg and see if I can get him to talk about Power Rangers with me in a little bit too.
Yeah, Greg, you should just open door, man. You should just come on the show sometimes.
So on that note, another thing I want to show off on PRH Comics, this is amazing, is when you click on an individual comic, not only do you get the information, all detailed here, price, detail, like more information than you as the consumer and even most retailers will ever need or want. But the thing I love about this, you have the ability to email it directly to your shop. You can post on social media. You get details of the story, the creators, and you can learn more about them. You like Ethan Parker, you can find about Kill Your Darlings and others by there. There's information there. But my favorite part is you can see all of the covers. You can see future issues on the series, other books by the author. So PRH, well, its FOC page is still getting there. Its individual book pages are full of information that can help you find more details, more books to read, more covers to buy, and more ways to order from your local comic shop. At some point, I'm going to have to drag one of the Penguin Random House staff on here. We've been talking with them for a while to see if we can get them to give us the rundown of how to use PRH Comics. But in that meantime, let us continue on with Marvel's Bring on the Bad Guys. It's a series of interconnected one-shots, each focusing on different villains. This week we get Loki, the trickster god of Norse mythology and brother to Thor himself. Mark Guggenheim, many of you guys know from his great television credits along with comics, is going to be handling this with a co-author, I want to believe, Anthony Oliveira. A lot of great detail in this. I've been loving the story of Mephisto's daughter, Sister Sorrow, that's been unfolding over these one-shots. We're at the halfway point with this one. I am all for it.
Right. And like the thing about this one that is kind of got my ears twitching is, again, it's the artist. It's Jethro Morales. It's Michael Santamaria. Jethro Morales pencils, probably Michael Santamaria inks. The art is going to feel worthy of the not only the Bring on the Bad Guys title, which has been around forever and has always been, bombastic is the word I'm going to use, but it's going to have that Norse mythology sort of gravitas. So that's the thing that on this book really, really intrigued me is that combination, drawing some of this Norse style mythology. And then when you add on the Nogi-san variant of the Sister Sorrow of just gorgeous, even though I'm not sure you could get away with that cover a few years ago, but it's just an incredible cover. Hey, Matthias.
Mm-hmm.
We have a friend in the room right now.
All right. Well, let me really quickly say hi and introduce Boom Studios' own Greg, who, I mean, you just seem to be gaining titles. What is your official title at this point?
I'm sticking to associate. It's the all-encompassing title that kind of carries everything. So Swiss Army knife at this point could be added. But yeah, it's fun.
There it goes. So oddly enough, I don't even know if you're aware of this, Greg. I was talking to one of your bosses earlier this week who is off enjoying all that is sequential art at the American Library Association conference in Pennsylvania this weekend. And he threw you under the bus and said, you know what, you should have Greg come on and talk Power Rangers. And I never got a chance to talk to you. So we still made it happen in pure coincidence.
I watch the show like most weeks, like live, or if I can, it's Sunday morning with coffee. But no, I love the show, so I got to catch it live today, and yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad to be on.
Well, then let's jump a little bit out of alphabetical order over to M, because there are two books that I want to talk to you about that Boom is bringing in a thunderously incredible way. And you will be my limitation of me not spoiling something I'm not allowed to say. Or perhaps you'll go further than me on this.
Yeah,
So,
maybe the other way around. Like, I might need you to stop me at some point. We'll see.
all right, so let's jump over to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Volume 3, Issue number 1, because the first two volumes have been incredible. Kyle and I were discussing it earlier that this is a great Power Ranger series. I love that we have Ryan Perot on here. Ryan and Kyle's Power Rangers define the Boom Power Rangers era, in my opinion. And we're back with the Turtles, IDW's own foursome of colorfully masked heroes in a less Sentai form. But there's something special about this, right, Greg?
Oh, it's a lot darker than the first two. There's definitely, I guess we can kick it off with there's a big death in the first issue. We hinted at it in the second issue solicitations, so not giving too much away, but I will say that this is a major one that is gonna kind of shape the whole series, and really just really impactful. I know, and then the way it happens, like I've seen it at this point, it's just truly insane. It's one of those cool like Wolverine being blasted by like a sentinel type of deaths where you just you're stunned by the end of that issue. Like, holy crap, I can't believe I just read that. So yeah, I mean it's awesome. And then Vincenzo's art is stunning too. We had Simone DeMio on volume 1, Dan Mora on volume 2. So Vincenzo's following that up in volume 3 with just I think probably the best art so far that we've seen in this crossover.
Yeah. I mean, and you make that comparative with Wolverine. When I was talking with Josh earlier this week about what happens in this book, first off, it just made me drop my jaw. But he wanted to emphasize this is not a sideline character death. This is
No.
not some minor no-name character like that loose guy from one or two episodes of the show. This is a major, major character. Like it is one of the top tier identifiable characters with one of these two properties. I got to be very careful on what I say, but like big name. Like
Say someone's seen an episode 1 of the original TV show. How about that? I think that kind of, and
there
then
you
from there on, like very an original character, like somebody very big. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that I think is the easy way to hint at it. Like for those who love Power Rangers, for those who love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if you have watched either of their TV series, if you have read either of their comics, this is a character who is in like 95% of it,
Yes. Yeah.
if not outright every single episode, every single issue. So this is huge. Like, I mean, one of the big ones, reason why you want to tell your local comic shop. Uh, I remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 45 from IDW. I remember issue 50, obviously, as well from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I remember Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 25. These all three were instances where there was a major death, although let's be honest, TMNT 45 didn't really last. But this was a major death where I remember countless people rushing to the comic shop trying to buy this. It was the Captain America 25 effect of somebody major died and no one was reading this book to the degree that it deserved to be read. And suddenly it's one of the highest selling books going to multiple printings. Everyone wanted it. This, I feel, would it be safe to compare, is going to be the issue that like people are clearly at this moment in time, and we haven't finalized orders yet, not ordering enough of this book.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think this definitely embodies everything that Boom is. I mean, we're going to make a Boom with this first issue, and it's truly insane. It's going to be talked about for a long time too. I think who it is and then the way it happens is just truly like one of those moments that's going to spark like excitement, for this book and this series.
So if you want to have a copy of this, and there are a bountiful amount of covers, let me scroll down, jumping ahead to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. There are a bountiful amount of beautiful covers. I mean, the A cover, is that Zono doing that?
Alessio Zono, yeah, and we have some really special covers coming from Zono beyond this one.
Yeah, Tua Lote's phenomenal cover with April and the Pink Ranger.
That one's stunning, yeah, and then that'll match up with another Power Rangers cover. I think we'll go over later.
Actually, can you talk to us a little bit about the dressed polybag design cover?
So this one, yeah, we'll have an updated version on PRH Comics by the end of the day that shows the back. And so this features 2 covers, one by Kevin Eastman and one by Dan Mora. So the Kevin Eastman is going to be at an 80% pull rate for customers, and it's art exclusive to the bag. And then the Dan Mora one is a spot foil version of the cover B there. So similar to the VR Troopers bag that recently come out with a net of a 20% pull rate.
So
it'll be a full art of that, yeah. And then the lightning bolt will have spot foil behind it.
Wow. So kind of pulling from the popularity of the recent blind bags. This will be a blind bag, somewhat similar to Something Is Killing the Children's.
Correct. Yeah. And, with 2 covers feasible.
Yeah, and 1 in 5 are going to be a spot foil. Otherwise, you're getting a phenomenal Kevin Eastman cover.
And it's Kevin Eastman and Freddie Williams II. So I mean, kind of the Kevin, the original Turtles, and then Freddie, like the original crossover guru, I call him, between like, the original Batman Turtles back in the day. So like Freddie and Kevin are both legends at crossovers.
Is Kyle hopping in on that?
No, I'm just putting myself back in the stream because I'm done coughing.
Oh, okay. So no, I mean, that is exciting. A lot of great covers. We're gonna have a major death. I mean, I still feel like this is the thing where you tell all your other comic friends, any of your Power Ranger friends and Turtles friends, as well as your local comic shop, this is going to be big. Because again, when you find out who dies, it is going to drop your jaw. Like I don't want to be the person to spoil it, but if you're not already on it, I feel midday Wednesday, people will be spoiling it in the modern era of social media.
Oh, yes.
And you will be hopping in your car, driving to try and grab a copy. I mean, is there already plans for a second printing in the works? Are you guys at that awareness of like, this is going to need it?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure you're definitely on that one. And the one thing I can also spoil too is Bebop and Rocksteady. They'll be morphing into Power Rangers in this one for the first time. So we saw the Ranger Turtles in Volume 2, and they made Funkos of those. So like, we're going to see some, Ranger turtle bad guys now, kind of villains becoming and they look amazing. All that happens in issue 1.
I love it. I mean, yeah, like the previous volumes have definitely had new printings, new versions, black and white versions, director's cuts. I mean, they were in-demand books from both large fandoms. But of course, the value exists in owning the first printings.
Oh, definitely.
Some of those, I mean, are notable double-digit valued books. I think there's even a few triple-digit variants.
Oh, yeah, there are. And then, I mean, there's so many beautiful covers in this one too that I think it'll get there. One of my favorites is the 1 in 200 on this one.
Yeah. So the other big one, also oddly enough, Power Ranger focused, is we drop the Mighty Morphin and go to Prime. Power Rangers Prime number 9. That is not the Green Ranger I'm used to on the cover.
No, that is our new Green Ranger. I'll go ahead and spoil this. So go to your shop. This doesn't come out till next week. Power Rangers Prime number 8. The last page of that one is going to feature this character on it. So incredible 140. 180, 181 type of situation there, I think. But yeah, no, 9 is going to be huge, definitely.
All right. So can we tell people to cover their ears? Are you going to spoil it for us?
I think cover C spoils the character on there. Yeah, if we want.
It does, but you got to hear the big reveal. It is
20 years in the making. Rita Repulsa. I mean, she held that Green Candle 20 years ago, and I think all back then fans were like, "Oh, she's going to be the Green Ranger." We got Tommy, who is by far like amazing, but I mean, Rita is the Green Ranger. Like this has to happen, and it finally does. This is amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you haven't been reading Power Rangers Prime, not only are you getting an unbelievable tale, like I never thought Rita Repulsa would become my favorite character in a Power Rangers. Like she was always the kind of goofy, crazy old lady, villain. But she is a powerhouse in this. And then we have the VR Troopers alongside as well.
Oh yeah, the VR Troopers, that number 1 launched this week at 2. So that's a series that's chugging along and exciting to be, in the Power Rangers universe, crossing over with the Sentai. And they're featured on the 1 in 25, which is a fantastic cover beyond the A cover there. And also the FOC reveal is completely stunning. So we've packed this issue with so many Rita covers, so many Green Ranger covers. Like there's an option for everybody on this one.
Yeah, I hate to say it, and it's that fun of just how live it goes. I didn't see the FOC cover last night
Oh yes,
as we were prepping for this. This is something beautiful.
it better make the top 10. I know you didn't see it last night, but it needs to get in there now. I'm just saying.
I will say a cover of this may have made the top 10, but the
Okay.
top 10 is locked in at this point in time. So unfortunately, this cover, deserving as it is, did not make it. But
Fingers
you'll have
crossed
Is it?
for the
Is it really?
Cutoff.
Is the top 10 locked in? Is it really?
I mean, I'm not editing it. Are you going to be off camera editing it, Kyle?
I'm just saying, for that cover, could make an exception to my rule of it's got to be done before the show starts.
I'm happy with our top 10. I think that people will enjoy where this book lands and what cover lands it. But
I will stick around to find out at that point till the end of the show and watch. So that's cool.
Awesome. Well, I mean, some big hits from Boom, obviously, with a new series in the way of Blink and You Miss It, and hopefully no one blinked. But on top of that, two big, iconic moments in Power Rangers: a major death and a major first appearance. I mean, anything else you want to say while we have you before we get to our other guest?
We also have Hello Darkness 13, which is Zombie Tales Takeover. So that's an all zombie issue with 5 complete zombie stories there. And Sick Tick 43, or sorry, Something That's Killed the Children 43. We use Sick Tick as short here at work. I hate typing out Something That's Killed the Children. It takes forever. The Suspiria Bill Chaz cover, I hope that one makes some list there, but that is a fantastic cover. So both of those, it's a big week for Boom Studios on FOC, and we have a lot going on and a lot of cool covers.
Yeah, I got to say, with the Hello Darkness, we obviously just had the Zombie Tales trade paperback on FOC about 2 weeks ago, I want to say.
And the release dates line up within a week of each other also, so a lot of synergy there and trying to get shops together, when releases happen, that we're making sure people can find that.
Yeah, and I'm sure Greg can talk to this topic. If you missed out on Zombie Tales on FOC, I'm certain that one, being a trade paperback, has a print.
You can reorder. Yeah, you can get it still. I mean, it's 24 issues for $20 on that one. 16 issues for $20. So big trade paperback, fantastic deal.
I mean, yeah, anytime you can get a comic these days for less than $2 an issue, it's worth your time, because especially getting a trade paperback, again, Greg and Boom people can tell you, any publisher can tell you, if they're taking the time to put it in a trade paperback, it's not because it's a bad story. It's because they support it, they believe in it, and they want you to read it.
That's amazing. It's Danny.
All right.
Hey, Danny.
So with that, thank you so much, Greg. I'm hoping everyone gets some big orders in for Power Rangers. We're going to do a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back with another guest, because, that's what you guys tune in for. Thank you so much, Greg.
Twitch, it's not just what happens when you have too many energy drinks anymore. Check out our content over there, too.
Sure, comic books are beautiful, but underneath, there's something more authentic and exciting. The original art. See the pencils, the lines, the shading, as if you were there in the studio watching the artist work. Getting a peek at comics' backstage is easy with the original art experience.
All right, Friday night, guys. Thank you for being here. To be doing anything, the fact that you're here means the world to me.
Nick's pieces are always value priced with your budget in mind, for the beginning collector to the veteran.
And this is gorgeous. You got Aquaman and Mira.
Join the original art experience with Nick and our friendly crew of regulars, even if it's just to enjoy the art. Fridays at 7. It's all part of the experience. FOC, a comic industry term for the final day a new comic can be ordered by a local comic shop. So...
All right, everyone. We have an incredible guest on this week's Order Up episode. He has brought you Friendo. He has taken the Carnage symbiote and applied it to a goblin. He has told you operations of Old Dog and Progs in 2000 AD. He has even told us historical fiction of Assassin's Creed while bringing the sweetest little lamb into the darkest little scenario in Cult of the Lamb. Now he has some hot new Marvel books. I want to bring on Alex Paknadel.
Hello, sir. Long time no see.
I know. I think it's been about 5 years since last we were in the same room.
Yeah, we were in a hotel in Portland, I think in like February 2020. And I think like we were at the bar just like wondering whether like that virus was going to be a thing.
I do remember going to the airport after that and just haunted at how empty it was.
Yeah, it was a time. Like I remember like that was part of a big like I was doing like the whole West Coast and some like it's like some like Hollywood stuff happened and I was like, oh, maybe this is my life now. And then like 3 weeks later, like every time I took out the bins, I felt like Magellan. But we're here. It's good to see you. It really is good to see you, man. Thank you for having me on.
Always a pleasure. So you've been a little bit absent from the comic book stands over the past few months, and then now you're coming back full force. You had X-Men from the Ashes, Demons and Death release. I'm like questioning the title when I have it literally right here, having just picked up because it hit stores this Wednesday. And then less than 5 days later on Monday, you have a DC comic on FOC in the way of Flash, the Bad Moon Rising special.
Yeah, 100%. So, the very fine issue you have in your hands. So when the sort of From the Ashes era started, I was very fortunate. Tom Brevoort asked me to sort of ease readers in by doing some kind of bridging stories between sort of Krakoa and the status quo that we have now. And they've started collecting them. They were pretty well received. So now they're kind of collating those stories. And that one in particular contains an Omega Red story that is like among the things I'm proudest of, genuinely. Like I'm a bit of I'm a dilettante, but like I'm a bit of a Russian history buff. And I've always wanted to do like an Omega Red story that is like really like hyper connected with sort of like Soviet era history. So I did that, and so I'm really proud of that. Please do pick it up. I'll love you forever. And yeah, the Flash special that I've got coming up. I mean, I don't want to spoil anyone because I think Flash 22 just dropped a couple days ago. But the cover is sort of out there for everyone to see. It's a Flash special that ties directly into the storyline that Cy Spurrier is currently running, which is basically a big sort of war on the moon and sort of with Eclipso as the big bad. But as a colossal James Robinson Starman fan, I basically got to do a sort of I got to do like I think the term's like a backdoor pilot, but like I don't think anything was spin out of it. But I basically got to do like a Shade story with sort of Flash inflections. So that was great. So I just basically like went back and like read a ton of my old Starmans and just tried to basically sort of capture that voice as best I could. And it's a lot of fun. Super proud of it. And I mean, it would help to read the crossover that's currently going on because it's a lot of fun, and Cy is obviously a master. But I think it can be enjoyed as its own aperitif.
I've never told a guest on this show, I hope they're wrong, as bluntly as I'm about to tell you, but I hope you are wrong and this does get a spinoff, because I remember earlier today I'm talking with Kyle, our producer, as I'm reading this, I'm like, I just want more Shade. The vibe of the old Shade miniseries back when James was doing Starman, and it makes me remember how much I loved that character, and that was the best part of that 90s era comic. And then I had, and I hate to admit, I'm not actively reading Flash right now. So then I had to go and read Size, Bad Moon Rising. But, ooh, this is so, I mean, you can totally dive into this with zero context of Flash, and it's a solid story. But you end on a killer cliffhanger that I can't wait for Flash 23 to come out. And I'm really hoping that someone at DC is smart enough to say, we need at least another 12 issues of the Shade.
I mean, your lips to God's ears. I mean, it's a funny one because, I think, I have never met Mr. Robinson. That's Mr. Robinson to me. I've never met Mr. Robinson, but, it was such a kind of, he put such a definitive stamp on those characters, didn't create them, but such a definitive stamp. That there is obviously like a lot of trepidation in kind of like, is do I have kind of permission to sort of to play in this sandbox? And like, as with anything, right, like I think as long as it's respectful, and again, I can't speak, I don't know if he'll read this, but it was like nothing if not respectful. I mean, it was composed with like the utmost reverence for, because like those books, man, I mean, I suspect you and I kind of started reading it around the same time. And it was like there was a sort of tranche of books in the mid-90s, like Starman and like Ostrander and Mandrake's Spectre, that kind of like weirdly like grandfathered you into Vertigo, like by the back door. You know what I mean? It was like half DCU, half Vertigo, and every now and then they, like the original Sandman had like a whole storyline with like Wesley Dodds, right? So like there was the whole kind of like the sort of the nod to sort of like what Matt Wagner was doing with Sandman Mystery Theater. Like I love that era, man, when everything was kind of up in the air. So yeah, like this was a ton of fun, and like sincerely, my hand to God, like a true labor of love.
Oh, well, absolutely. And it's interesting that Mathias was reading this morning. I read it last night, and we both had the James Robinson. We picked it up before you said anything. Like, as we both commented on it, that I recognized it. In the way it was written, I recognized the homage. He recognized the vibe. Like, so again, saying you paid absolute respect to it is true. And if you're out there going, hey, I really liked, some of those golden age, early silver age characters. I really liked James Robinson's work later on with these characters. Like, this is it's a whistle wetter, or, one of those things that'll just get you digging back into those old trades and looking for more stuff like this from DC.
And I mean, can I just cut across? Can I just say, like, genuinely, like, thank you so much for saying that. I mean, I haven't had many responses like out in the world, no, that you made my evening. Thank you for that.
Well, and going beyond just to Alex, I mean, to the consumer out there, I'm a hard man to please when it comes to the Shade. Like, because of Robinson, I went down and tracked all of the Silver Age Flash, his first appearance. I went and got a Golden Age copy of the first appearance of Shade. I had the action figures that DC direct lined out of Starman in my other room. I love the Shade. So when I saw this cover and when I knew we were going to have Alex on the show, I was very excited. But there was a lot of room, I hate to say, to fail, and Alex nailed every single piece of it. Like, I wish we could talk about this post the book being released where everyone else has read it so we can spoil things, but it is phenomenal. And that last page, I mean, from early moments of a little bit of a Starman nod, but to the very end, it just pulls you in, whether you know the character, whether you're well versed in the character, or this is your first time. I think this is going to be a solid one shot that is going to now make me read Size Flash, which was not my intention.
Well, thank you for that. And yeah, I mean, I have to say, sorry, sidebar. I mean, this is how feckless I am. You guys messaged me about it being on FOC, and sincerely, like, I had no idea. So if nothing else, thank you so much for the reminder. Because right, is that now? Oh, okay.
So, well, you have a lot of stuff coming out. It's got to be hard to manage it all between this and the X-Men and Cult of the Lamb. It's like, what's out this week and what's on order?
Yeah, and like Casey Jones is forthcoming. That's very exciting. I'm looking forward to kind of getting that into people's hands. I mean, I think like that because that the whole kind of Turtles end of things. Like I'm super excited about that because I think rightly or wrongly, I'm a huge action guy, right? But like I tend to be kind of associated with more kind of like cerebral stuff. But I'm also like a huge like Grindhouse fan. And like, my comfort movies are like Escape from New York, like Chud, The Warriors, stuff like that. And like all of that goes into the pot when you're dealing with Casey Jones, right? So I'm just letting rip there and just, letting my action flag fly. And yeah, I mean, I think, that between that and like the Shredder book that Dan Waters, my friend's doing, like, I think Turtles fans are going to eat very, very well this year.
Yeah, I mean, because I believe, and I feel Kyle would be the one to call me out instantly if I'm wrong on this. This is the first Casey Jones series. Like, he shared it with April O'Neil and a few others, but I think you're bringing us our first Casey Jones, right?
He's had like one shots, but yeah, I think again, please don't come at me, but like I think it might be the first series. It's certainly the first one shot in like a long time, right?
Right. It's been 30 years.
Yeah, there you go.
As Tommy points out so correctly, since Casey had anything even remotely like this. So I feel like Alex and I are probably going to wind up doing like a long form hour-and-a-half dive into when do you use the hockey mask and when do you don't. But we'll save that for another time when we can really get into the weeds.
Yeah. Apologies, I was cross promoting. Bad form, gentlemen. Bad form. Shepherd's Crook.
Actually, on that note, let's go back. One of the big ones right now, the cult hit of last year going into this year was Cult of the Lamb. I saw customers that had never been into a comic shop coming in and buying this religiously, like standing in line on release day to pick this up. And I hate to admit, I'm an old man who doesn't understand how most of this technology works. I had never played Cult of the Lamb. It was your storytelling that got me to try this game out. My kid loves it. And I got to say, though, in the end, I like the comic more. How did you take that video game and bring this to life?
Appreciated. I mean, I'm again, Mathias, I suspect we're in a similar boat. I wasn't familiar with the property at all. Hunter Goranson basically sat me down at New York Comic Con like two cons ago and sort of offered it to me. And initially I kind of wasn't jazzed about it. Like I'm not even particularly a video game guy. I'm ashamed to admit, and that's not, I'm not yucking anyone's yum. It's just it passed me by, right? But then he kind of explained the concept, and like weirdly, like I have basically said, okay, so this is about like a scapegoated animal that kind of comes back with a big giant axe to basically destroy this kind of iniquitous old religion that's kind of kept this society in a vice-like grip. Which I mean, imagine if we were living through something like that. The concept alone just okay, so that pricked up my ears. And like I have like quite a strong sort of like academic interest in sacrifice, and I started thinking about like the Wicker Man and stuff like that. So like that was my way in, was just okay, so like a sacrificial victim who ends up getting their revenge. That is super cool. And so I just lent really hard into that. And like I play, and it's a roguelike game. So I ended up, they gave me a copy and it was a blast to play. And full of all of the kind of like splatter stuff that I love. So yeah, really that was my kind of point of entry. But I mean, to your point about, you had people kind of like lining up. I mean, again, the finding audiences where you wouldn't expect to have audiences. Like, I mean, I was in town and like a very, very old friend of mine that I've known for like 20 years, his daughter, who's like 12, who, has known me for ages, was suddenly kind of really excited to see me and just wanted to talk to me about the book because she's this colossal Cult of the Lamb fan, right? And so I'm going, okay, well, like, kids in comic book stores, man, like this is it, right? This is what we need. And there's a lot more of that happening now. And I don't know, just as the further we went along, like the more jazzed about it I got, really. And yeah, I mean, it's paid dividends career wise. And yeah, they ran a Kickstarter for it as well that just did like bananas numbers. Yeah, the whole experience was like a roller coaster. It was really strange.
And if you haven't read Cult of the Lamb yet, you can easily go to your local comic shop. It is still available through Oni Press. You can get it through Lunar Distribution or Simon & Schuster. So that is an amazing one. I got to talk a little bit more on. Go ahead.
Quick, as an aside, Cult of the Lamb wise, there's now an animated show on television that feels it's they're shorts, like they run on TV. That feels like it's what has happened so much in comics when a show gets canceled, where the show has kind of picked up from the comics. But the problem is, I hear the Lamb's voice with Alex's voice in my head. Because I've listened to Alex talk about it. We've had him on several times on the EXP. So I hear it with this very nice British accent, and then it comes out of his voice. It's like, no, that's not how that works. So just know it is very disconcerting. But they're great little shorts that you can find on the internet and on television.
Rad. I mean, I will say, stay tuned in that regard as well. Nothing more than that, but yeah, but about a bit. Might be, yeah.
So actually, going to that next slide there, Kyle. So in X-Men, the From the Ashes started out back in January with, at least in print, with Xavier's Secret. This past Wednesday, we have From the Ashes, Demons and Death, which I'm just going to constantly glare because I put my comics in a bag and board like a moron. But this just hit. Amazing, amazing piece. Is there more From the Ashes X-Men?
Yes. They're very kindly, as I understand it. I don't know about the Astonishing run, but as I understand it, and again, if a Shepherd's Crook comes along, I apologize. I think they're collecting the whole run. So there was a Lifeguard story, there was a Magneto story, there was a Beast story, and yeah, they're all getting kind of again because I think because a lot of it, I mean, the remit that I have was basically kind of connective tissue. So, like, I mean, the Havoc story that's in that one that you were just holding, there wasn't really, in print, they needed to basically, they needed a kind of bridging story because, like, when we left Alex Summers in Krakoa, he was this like moldering corpse. Like Steve Fox like handled that in like Dark X-Men. He was this like rotting corpse, and then he kind of shows up in X Factor, and he's his handsome self. And they didn't have the kind of real estate in Mark didn't have the real estate in the X Factor book to kind of say, well, how did he get here? So that story comes to me, and like the thing is, those kind of like intimate, like character driven stories, man, I love those. Like I love those, and I'd happily write them all day long. So yeah, and it kind of landed in my lap, and it was a real privilege. Just these kind of gigantic characters, and you get to sort of get them at their most vulnerable, and just do these very kind of like intimate stories with them. Yeah, like I had a blast with the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, and as a big continuity fan for the X-Men, you're the answer for all those hanging threads that the Hickman era, the Krakoan era left us with. You were the one tying them up and leading us into this new era.
To an extent. I mean, like the only reason I say that is like I don't want to be the person who kind of goes on record going, yeah, I cleaned up some Hickman stuff. Because like, no. Like certainly, I think there were kind of off ramps that were presented to us, and yeah, like I was afforded an opportunity to kind of like build some road, which was an enormous privilege. But yeah, Hickman, man, like that guy's perfect.
All right, so we have talked about the one shot Flash, Bad Moon Rising, the Bad Moon Rising special that will be on this Monday. We've talked a little bit about Joe Casey coming up. Are there any other projects in the pipeline that you can talk about?
Well, yeah, the Casey Jones project. Yeah, okay, I can mention that. I've just kind of broken ground. I think I can say this. I've just broken ground on like a pretty big Marvel book. I really can't say any more than that, but like that was great. And hopefully I'll be able to kind of announce that soon, but that's a real kind of bucket list thing for me. Trying to think. Yeah, I mean, everything else I can kind of wink and nod at the camera, but I can't really say too much. I'm really sorry. But yeah, no, rest assured there is plenty. I've just signed a contract for a creator-owned book that I'm very, very excited about. I won't be. I know I do have a tendency to sort of every few months I sort of disappear again, but I don't think that's going to be happening for the foreseeable. Thankfully, it's a champagne problem.
All right, well then the big question becomes, for everyone who has fallen in love with your work, whether it's going back to Sentinels or Assassin's Creed to, the recent X-Men and Flash, where can we find you online to discover more coming from Alex?
Thank you very much. I mean, nobody has my surname, so I'm pretty easy to find. But I'm pretty much on everything. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Blue Sky. So yeah, you can find me pretty much anywhere. Like I said, nobody has my surname. It's pretty kind of conversational, so feel free to sort of drop by and say hi. So I think my handle in most places is just at Alex Paknadel, Paknadel. And yeah, like if you just sort of term search that, you will tend to find me lurking and talking about how excited I am about the Superman movie.
Very quickly, there is a piece that's been announced that like is publicly out there where you get to work with my favorite Marvel villain. We were already talking about
gosh,
the other
man,
the Loki book that's coming out from this series. Can you give me a little bit about Bring on the Bad Guys Dormammu, which is FOC's the end of July, comes out in October?
Yeah, you remember how I said like I'd forgotten that the FOC for the Flash special was today? Yeah, I'd also forgotten that. Yes, okay. So I'm doing. I've written a Dormammu one shot for basically Mark Guggenheim's running this sort of crossover, which is a revival of Bring on the Bad Guys. So like in the 70s, I think it was. There was a big sort of Bring on the Bad Guys trade. That came out, and that's being brought back, and it's a sort of, there's connective tissue, but it's a series of one shots involving sort of Marvel's kind of biggest villains. And yeah, as you say, so it's like I think Ethan and Griffin are doing a Green Goblin one, I think, but I'm doing the Dormammu one shot, which is connected to this sort of overarching story, but is self-contained as well. And I'm doing that with Javier Pina. Whose art is, look, don't get me wrong, my writing I'm sure is fine. His art on this is breathtaking. Every panel, you want to frame it. I mean, I'll say this, like it's a period piece. And so, but he's basically leaned into the kind of period, beautifully. So he just has these incredibly rendered pages that just look like they're pulled right from the era where it's set. I genuinely wish I had something to show you, because everything that's dropping into my inbox is just dropping my jaw. I'm saying to all my friends, just like, just get Javier like while you can, like this, because it's just incredible work. Yeah. So, really happy with that. And like my brief with that, I mean, I don't think this is giving anything away. Like I'm approaching Dormammu as like Lovecraftian cosmic horror. So it's like, if I had a sort of a running sort of remit for the book, it was like make Dormammu super duper scary. And I think I've done that. But yeah, it's very, very much a kind of horror title, and I think it's real creepy, and I think it's going to get under people's skin, and I think it's real, and I'm super proud of it.
Yeah. Oh man, that Liber Mayho cover, the main cover on there, phenomenal too.
Oh, isn't it gorgeous? Yeah.
There's also a gorgeous Corin Howell, and the Javier Pena is also very good. But be on the lookout for the J. Scott Campbell and the Todd Knock. That's all I'm saying.
July 21st FOC. That is an August 20th release. So I mean, we're gonna have a summer of Alex. I'm loving it.
Yeah. Oh man, that just sounds like I'll just say that to my wife and she'll shudder. Oh God, we don't need one of those.
Well, on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining us, Alex. We have a lot of great books that are still on FOC. We'll be coming back to. But any final words from you before we cut to commercial?
Nothing much. I've been doing this 10 years now. That's basically because of your viewers, your listeners, and your customers. Thank you very much for my job and my life. I love it. And thank you to you, gentlemen, for having me on. It was a privilege as ever.
Thank you so much, Alex. We will be back right after this commercial break with the rest of comics on PRH and Lunar that are on FOC Monday, June 30th.
In a world where you hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, that'd be really great. Thanks.
All right. We're back.
Jinx.
Because I forgot to take us off the screen so I could run a second commercial. So we'll just go from here.
Yeah, let's do it. So you want to bring me back over to Penguin Random House where we can talk about some of the other Marvel projects and other items. It's mainly Marvel that are on FOC this week. Gods, speaking of things that Jonathan Hickman is perfect at, Gods may have been his most underread one. A Marvel miniseries that ended rather abruptly, but the characters are still there waiting. And Ryan North is taking them for a One World Under Doom one-shot that is designed to reintroduce the characters to a new group of readers because they are far from over. I believe that Jonathan has intent for them in his big Imperial miniseries, but then we get this One World Under Doom one-shot, and from there, who knows? So if you don't know the characters of Gods, which are basically like magic gods, this is going to be quite the read for you. From there, Hellboy is back with a new 2-issue miniseries from Christopher Golden. Once again, Hellboy is reintroducing us to his love interest of the late 70s, early 80s that first appeared in a prose novel. This is the 4th Hellboy in Love storyline. Once again, a 2-part storyline by Christopher Golden and Mike Mignola. I don't know. I'm happy to have Hellboy in comics again.
Well, and Hellboy in Love has been a great series. I really do like the art style that is becoming with it. I think that this story, The Art of Fire, tends to have more of what I like style wise from Hellboy books than some of the other Hellboy in Love have had recently. But if you've been reading Hellboy in Love, you know that isn't a bad thing. So just know that this is going to be a good one. Mignola is overseeing this with a very steady hand. It has a very clear vision. So you can't really go wrong.
Yeah. And as you can see highlighted down there, Anastasia Bransfield. I never remember her name because I want to think of Liz Sherman always when I think of a romantic interest for Hellboy. But Anastasia Bransfield, our female protagonist, that is the defining piece of the Hellboy in Love, will be back. Obviously, she's right there on the cover. So we're just slowly inching towards the inevitable relationship end. But it is fun to get more Hellboy tales.
Right. In my head, she's just not Liz. So that's just how I remember her, not Liz.
Yeah.
Real quick, Matthias, you scrolled past it, and I get why it's not something we want to spend much time on it. But Enemy of My Enemy, a Daredevil Marvel crime novel by Alex Segura, is on FOC this week from Disney Publishing and Hyperion. Written by Alex Segura, who's been on a monster of a hot streak lately with Dick Tracy and some of the other things he's doing. This is a book, not a graphic novel, not a comic book. This is a pulp noir Daredevil crime drama from Alex Segura. So again, not generally what we would talk about on the show, but again, with it being Alex, with it being Daredevil, with it being, the time it is, this might be something to check out if you're like, you're in a relationship and maybe your partner's like into the, the book talk. Here's your comic book version of a book that you guys could sit on the couch and read, and that kind of thing. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, Alex Segura, oddly enough, the author of the new Star Wars ongoing series, amongst many other things, as you mentioned, and that means it will not be the only pros related to that we'll be talking about today. But the next big one, oddly enough, goes the dead opposite. It brings animation into comic book form, as we ask, what if Goofy became Spider-Man?
MJ.
It's not the question I ever asked, but I'm curious to read it.
With great power comes great responsibility. My Goofy's not perfect, but it's not bad.
Yeah. No, I love your Goofy voice. It has me all that will be the voice I'm hearing. You get Alex Paknadel in your Cold of the Lamb comics. I'm going to be stuck with Kyle Northrup in my Goofy became Spider-Man.
But okay, so this one is Steve Bailing and Ricardo Secchi. Steve has been very good at these like Disney crossover Marvel, not taking them too seriously, but also not making them too goofy. Although it is goofy, so like, can you be too? Anyway, if it gets too goofy, does it just turn into a
Goofy comic?
No, does it just turn into a regular Goofy book? So again, like I like this idea, and again, Steve has been doing a great job with them.
I like this. We're just gonna have an EXP episode of something, just purely Kyle Goofy. What if the EXP?
I had to practice both of those sentences, right? Like I can't just do it. I gotta practice.
I mean, this is film and television and production. Like, I'm pretty sure this is all ad-libbed.
Yeah,
it's all ad-libbed for me. No one's told me otherwise. Am I supposed to?
Well, I'm pretty sure this book is ad-libbed in a big way because, I can see Goofy swinging from building to building and being just the best at it.
Yeah. I expect at least one moment where he slams into a brick wall and you get the whole outline.
Right, like. Here's what I want to know. Is Aunt May just like Minnie Mouse?
That would be interesting. Oh man, would that mean Mickey's Uncle Ben? Oh no.
Well, he's in public domain, so we can do whatever we want to him. But like I'm trying to find a place for what was Goofy's son's name? Like, is Goofy's son God. Peter and MJ's baby? Like, I have so many questions. Yeah, Max. Is Max in it?
Max.
Like, I have so many questions.
Yeah. Oh, that would be interesting. No, it's too early. This is what if Goofy became Spider-Man, not what if Goofy became Ultimate Spider-Man or Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. We'll get there in time. Beautiful Scotty Young cover, I got to point out. Awesome Marvel boxes. We're getting Battle World, which, again, this push towards Battle World and Secret Wars, as well as Punisher, because I mean, it's not like anything's going on with Punisher. It's not like they just cast Punisher for the upcoming Spider-Man movie. But a lot of fun. We've already talked about some of the Boom Mighty Morphin Power Rangers books, and I'm sure we'll be talking about them again when we get to our top 10. So the next big thing that I want to discuss deals with a bit of an alien entering the Marvel Universe. As if all the Godzilla one-shots didn't lead to Godzilla destroying the Marvel Universe being enough, Predator now wants to join the crew of people who is going to kill the Marvel Universe, putting him alongside people like Deadpool, Punisher, and more. Predator kills the Marvel Universe.
Deadpool and Punisher have been unsuccessful. I don't think Predator's going to have the same problem.
I mean, it's Benjamin Percy. I think there is no man better to write this. And I don't see Benjamin pulling punches.
Now that aliens are at Marvel, like, are we just working to edit Predator versus Alien, like, versus Spider-Man or something? Like Predator versus Alien versus Moon Knight?
I have nothing but fond memories of the old Dark Horse era of Predator versus Alien versus Batman or versus Superman.
Predator
So
versus Alien versus Galactus.
Ooh, ooh, Kyle, let's
CB, call me.
give me a call. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Now, if we want something equally violent and bloody, because Marvel's loving that lately, how about the return of Savage Wolverine? This is a crazy one because we are getting the creators from Kill, what was it, 1 million or 6 billion? Kill 6 billion demons, that great image graphic novel from years ago, almost a decade ago, on Wolverine. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little interested. I mean, this is definitely, Wolverine kills some universe, but it doesn't sound like it'll be a group of Marvel characters. But
There you
Return
go.
of Savage Wolverine.
I like that Savage Wolverine is back. He's the Wolverine I dislike the least.
Yeah. No, I mean, Frank Cho did a great job with the title. Joe Mad, I want to say, was also on it back in the day.
Mad series was so good. Anyway.
But here's an odd one. Another big one from Marvel. Spider-Man versus the Sinister 16. J. Michael Straczynski returning to Spider-Man with Phil Noto art, because Phil Noto clearly wasn't doing enough doing the Star Wars interiors with Alex Segura. He decides he's going to do this awesome new book. And 6 villains wasn't enough. Sinister 6? No, they said add a 10 to it. 16. I am beyond intrigued. I just want to confirm. I think this is a one-shot. There's nothing to lead me to believe this isn't a one-shot, but
that's my read on it.
Yeah. Terry and Rachel Dodson on cover, which just is amazing. All of that looks awesome.
A little bit before this, there was a book, and again, it's not one we would normally cover. It's by L.K. Stephen. It's called Silver Cloak. It's from Random House Worlds. Again, this is another novel. Just Silver Cloak is, imagine Khonshu meets Merlin the Magician in a weird sort of crime noir murder mystery. But again, magic is real and everybody uses it. And there's a crime kind of noir theme to it. So again, really good, like sit down and read a book. I like L.K. Stephen. That's why I mentioned it. And I was shocked to see it on here. But shout out to PRH for including some of this off the wall, like sci-fi prosaic stuff that a lot of comic shops haven't carried for years. That may be a new line for some folks to carry.
I mean, and that's one of the things I will say about the new generation of distributors that we have access to as comic shops. I mean, you're not going to avoid getting your Marvel and Dark Horse and IDW and Boom books. So going through Penguin Random House, the access we have to prose novels, I can say, at least in my shop, I've started carrying everything from the various Star Wars prose novels to Frankenstein and Dracula,
right,
to some upcoming Stephen King novels. And it does well for me. I'm not changing my, vein to a bookstore, but I'm happy to stock some books or some prose books alongside my vast array of comics. And I know I am far from alone in that. A lot of comic shops are.
Diversification is key to the future. So adding these things as it fits with your overall vibe is a good idea for stores. So again, when you get a book like Silver Cloak, where the sales pitch is Khonshu meets Merlin in a sci-fi fantasy murder mystery, okay, like you could sell that to people pretty easy. And so again, it's this availability of books like this, not necessarily being, I'm going to get the new, James Patterson book, but something like this that might have enough crossover with the sci-fi and Marvel fans.
Well, I will say, I've talked to retailers who are fearful of it. It's converting their comic readers to prose, but it goes the other way too. It converts your prose readers into comics. And book talk, as you stated, is a huge thing with millions of viewers. So I'm all for anything that gets people reading in any kind, because that is where the world falls apart, is a lack of reading.
Well, and again, like the Enemy of My Enemy book, that is a perfect lead-in from the description to the Battle and Jack Murdoch stories from the Daredevil comics that Frank Miller did. So again, there's enough crossover if you buy the right prose novels, and PRH is making that super easy.
Yeah. Now, another beautiful thing, as Greg already discussed with us earlier from Boom, Something is Killing the Children 43, continuing these early adventures of Erica Slaughter. Look at these covers. Foil cover right there by Vilches. I mean, the Dan Panosian, I can go on and on about Dan Panosian for the rest of my life. He has been a brilliant artist for decades, but the last year or two of his covers have just been masterpiece. I would live in a gallery of his artwork if I could. But man, look at all these just amazing, amazing covers on Sick Tick 43.
Well, that was the thing that I noticed as I was scrolling through looking at mine going, well, I need to order that one. 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 And I'm not even reading single issues of Something is Killing the Children. I'm collecting trades, and the hardcover, the slipcase hardcovers look beautiful on my shelf. But I gotta have that Panosian, and some of these other covers are just so gorgeous.
Oh yeah. So here's another prose that I have to talk up. You know, Alex Segura is writing the main Star Wars. We have Tessa Gradden doing Star Wars Acolyte. And whether you love the Acolyte TV series on Disney Plus or not, I think that the universal response was that the characters were great. Sometimes the writing of the show, if I'm going to be bluntly honest, was not my favorite thing. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I had to struggle to get through Acolyte. But I love the characters. And I love Tessa Gradden's writing. From previous Star Wars novels, Tessa knows how to write some amazing stuff. I loved Justina Ireland's incredible Acolyte story focusing on Vernestra Rowe. I am all for seeing what Gradden has with Jecki and, I cannot remember Jecki's partner's name, Yord, Jecki and Yord. So this has me excited. Whether it's for everyone, I don't know, but something to consider if you liked the concept of Star Wars Acolyte, but you felt it didn't land it perfectly. This is where I think Acolyte has a chance to shine. It's also the reminder, though, that these things get written so far in advance. No one saw Acolyte getting canceled before it aired. So on that same note, set in the Star Wars universe during the era of the High Republic, but about 100 years prior, we come to the finale, the final true issue of Star Wars High Republic, the big initiative started by Charles Soule, Cavan Scott, Justina Ireland, Claudia Gray, and Daniel Jose Older. It all wraps up. We just had the big Charles Soule novel that wraps up the infamous fight between the Jedi and the Nihil, and we get the aftermath celebration where all roads lead to Dalna, handled by Cavan Scott, with art by Marika Cresta. I am so hyped with this, and I had to really show off this cover by Ariana Dito. I know this is an incentive cover. Not every store is going to get that. As always, for ratio variants and incentive covers like that, reach out to your local comic shop, see if they're available, see how much they're going to cost. But that is an awesome one. It's my big one for PRH. So that is my push for PRH. I think it's time we pop over to Lunar and see what DC, Image, and the others are doing. What do you think of that?
Absolutely.
All right.
I just was checking my Lunar list because I talked about it last week while you're switching over, guys. I talked about it last week. Lunar gives you the nice ability to go a few weeks ahead. So again, last week I submitted not a small list of books that were going to be on FOC this week from Lunar, because again, giving my LCS extra time. And again, I'm not your average bear when it comes to ordering my books. So giving them the extra time to be like, hey, I'm going to order an unreasonable amount of Rockefellers. Just know. Lets them sort of plan ahead. But I'm going through my list because as we were prepping the show, there's stuff on there that wasn't on there last week. New stuff has made the list. So again, having less to have to go through is making me find more books I want. So just know that Lunar, use the ability that Lunar has to have stuff way out ahead of time to your advantage.
And no comic shop is ever going to give you an issue for getting an order in early. the sooner you can get that information to your local comic shop, the happier they are to add it to their order list and get it all set up.
Well, and the earlier they can bill you if you're somebody like me.
Yeah. So we're heading over to Lunar Distribution. As you can see, we're at upcoming FOC, marked for June 30th there, where we get a lot of continuing things like the Absolute line, Absolute Martian Manhunter and Absolute Wonder Woman with some beautiful, beautiful covers. I am loving Absolute Wonder Woman. That is, in my opinion, the height of the Absolute universe. And somewhere down there you get Batman, Superman, Flash, Green Lantern, whatever. Absolute Wonder Woman. Kelly Thompson. Barbarella finally wrapping up. Dynamite obviously has made the move over to Lunar Distribution. Kyle got to break that news to you all last week. I'm envious of him, but I am happy to see that Dynamite is in a place where we will now once again be seeing regular releasing of their books. So Barbarella from Blake Northcott finally gets a proper FOC. We talked about it. It actually had a cover that was on a Hot 10 list a while back. It was actually this beautiful Akira homage by Richard Pace, but awesome piece right there.
Yep, that was what I was going to talk about. We finally get that Akira homage.
Yeah, a lot of great covers that you can see there. Batman Hush, obviously continuing with issue 161 as we're nearing the end of part 1 of Hush 2. A lot of great covers there. 1 million covers, it feels like. Lunar is getting all the publishers. DC, they just felt that, Dynamite and DC, they wanted the covers. Arby's has the meat. DC and Dynamite now have the covers. Not to mention, I should point out these incredible oversized 11x17 editions. These are printed at the size Jim Lee draws the artwork at. And the crazy thing is, I don't know if you've seen issue 158, the first part of Hush, that oversized edition is $100 book now on the aftermarket. People just don't have it.
Absolutely.
So here's a big one I want to point out, though. Rebellion. Rebellion is at Lunar now. So we have a couple really great classic Spotlight Rebellion items on FOC this week. One of my favorites is the Best of 2000 AD. Oddly enough, at the one of the same meetings that I was talking to with Alex Paknadel at back in Portland in 2000, I was talking with some great folks over at Rebellion about these best of, and it took forever for them to come out, but they came out amazing. As very affordable trade paperbacks, you're getting some of the classic and modern stories, the progs, if you will, of 2000 AD. All six of these best of 2000 ADs have been resolicited, so you can grab these. If you've never read 2000 AD, if you're a fan of Judge Dredd, or you want to see what, not only classic 70s, 80s sci-fi in England was like through modern epic stuff, this is a way to go. We have a lot of continuing series in the way of Biker Mikes from Mars. A new one is the continuation of Cal Exit. Black Mass Studios did an interesting tale of what would have happened if California tried to break away from the United States of America. Cal Exit has been a series of intense, crazy comics that when they first started seemed a lot more far-flung dystopian future. And nowadays, a little bit more on the nose. But Cal Exit, the battle for Universal City is just that. For those of you not familiar with California, Universal City is the area outside of the Universal Studios, not only the actual film studios, but the classic theme park in northern Los Angeles. It holds place with the Universal City Walk, which has local comic shop, Things from Another World there, as well as a number of classic restaurants and shops. It is the tourist destination of LA. And as such, seems like the most insane visual place to have a war between America and California.
It's also where they shot that Coolio video with Keenan and Kel for the Keenan and Kel theme.
You have been deep cuts on your music videos today, Kyle. But no, I love it. There are a lot of great covers. I'm sure many of you have seen the classic Universal Globe. I want to say one of those classic late night TV shows. It's not TMZ, but it's another one. Entertainment Tonight, I want to say, constantly opens with this, but always fun. So a lot of great ones. This is getting resolicited, originally solicited through Diamond, never released due to the issues at Diamond. So now you have the opportunity to grab this.
Danny, it's because I'm properly caffeinated. Just let you know.
As well as you can grab the original trade paperback that Pizzolo did. Matteo Pizzolo's Cal Exit Volume 1 is resolicited through Lunar, giving many shops a new opportunity to stock it. Captain Planet continuing. I love it. I am all in for David Pepos in there. We have one that I have to point out. I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but Comic Book Creator 40 is focusing on Dave Stevens. We have continuations of Dark Honor, DC versus Vampires, but the one that instantly gets a song in my head, you know, that classic Dre and Tupac hit, California Love. It is DC's California Love. I cannot think of a more ridiculous concept that I am all in on.
This is right up there with Lex in the City for me.
Yeah.
In terms of the amount of ridiculousness I love. I mean, you've got Brian Miller, Brandon Thomas, Joshua Hale, Falkoff, George Mann, Christoph Borjak, James Reed, Dave Wielgaz, like ton of great writers that maybe whose names you don't know, but have worked on the Super Family over the years. Bringing in this one shot, California Love, that like we had to watch the video for the original song before the show, and we went down a California song rabbit hole.
If you simply are not hearing the opening to that classic, you know, Tupac Dre song, the second I say California Love, I can hear, like, you know, the word.
And if you're not parodying it in your head to fit this, what are you even doing on this show, really? But the thing about it is, and I didn't think about this until I really started looking at these covers. The idea of having a Superman not in New York. We all know the Metropolis is basically supposed to be New York, but to have Superman in California changes Superman. But Superman is also the quintessential American creation, like as a character, you know, two immigrant kids, you know, aspiring to create the great American, you know, character, you know, America's Boy Scout for so many years. And hip hop is the quintessential American music. Like, sure, you don't get blues without America. You don't get country, like, but you don't get hip hop started here. It is uniquely American the same way that Superman is. So to have those two things tied together, I think is a great partnership that DC has come up with. And I wouldn't say this to their faces because I wouldn't want them to get a big head, but they should do more of this stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm honestly very, very excited too, just because getting these characters on the West Coast. I mean, you know, I hate to say DC and Marvel lack presentation on the West Coast, partially because you don't have the skyscrapers you can fly behind, you know, between. You don't have the backdrops. It's a very different thing. But yeah, like there's a whole vibe here of the idea of the super family. When we're talking about the summer of Superman constantly from DC this year, you know, I like the idea of the super family chilling on a beach, you know, like,
well,
more to talk about that later.
I think both studios have been on the West Coast long enough now, by and large, that they could start developing West Coast characters. When Superman and Batman and Spider-Man and all these characters were developed, both studios were in Midtown Manhattan. Draw what you know. And now that everybody's out in Southern California, draw what you know. We could use some sunlight and some palm trees. I'd like to see Batman get a tan. That's all I'm saying.
You know, I mean, you still got to go out in the daylight for that. But so on that note, things that don't come out in the daylight and, you know, make creepy noises in the dark. Department of Truth continuing our Hat Man. Detective Kaiju doing a great Batman cover that shows why Bruce will never get a tan with that classic animated series homage. Michael Calero doing those. More unbelievable Rebellion releases, the Essential Judge Andersons and Essential Judge Dreds. I love this stuff. I mean, you're talking John Wagner, Brian Boland, just countless amazing people, Alan Grant on all of these. So if you've ever been a Judge Dredd fan, whether you loved Sylvester or you loved who did Dredd, who was the guy who played Butcher and the Boys and everything.
Oh God, you're gonna ask me to remember that movie?
Yeah, no, but
I've been on a roll, but I can't go there.
Yeah, but I mean, regardless of that, I love Judge Dredd in the way that I love Punisher, and that I don't want those characters in the real world, but man, I love reading them.
I did just pick up a big run of Judge Anderson, so I'm excited for these reprints so that I can read them without fingering up these old books that I picked up.
Yeah. Exquisite Corpses continues on with the joining writer adding to the fun of James Tynion in Porn Sack Pitch and Show. We have all sorts of new covers, a brand new card in your cover C to continue playing that game. I think with issue 3, we'll officially be able to play the game now too, based on what Michael Walsh was sharing with us about 3 months ago. We have the incredible Tony Fleeks, Feral. Oh my God, the emotion that last issue drove through me. Those kittens. Issue 15 on FOC with some great covers, as well as the trade to get you up with 9 lives. We have Alex's Flash Bad Moon Rising special. Look at that Shade cover. Shade, our main protagonist for this, with a little bit of Eclipso and a hint of Flash. This is going to be awesome. And man, I cannot wait for Flash 23 because of that. So expect me to talk about that next week on FOC. Obviously, the Future Is. This will be the first issue of the Future Is that I think the Kickstarter fans didn't have access to. This is all brand new content for everyone there. Correct, Kyle?
Yep, this is the first one that is unique to the release that wasn't part of the Kickstarter. And it is the first one that has been... This is the issue that's been the most teased. This is the Jim Mahfood variant, or Jim Mahfood cover that everybody has been talking about. So this one is great. And by the way, now we're to the 24-page stories, 404, CTF still ongoing. No one has passed me yet that I know of from the experience. So make sure you're ordering your books and letting me know if you pass me.
Yeah. Geiger. I love it. We're finally, the master meets his monster in this interesting twist. Geiger is going to meet the guy who led to him being that radioactive beast, and how that's going to unfold. I am so excited to read. Before anyone calls me out, yes, I've already read it, but I am so excited to physically have it in my hand and read it. It is awesome.
For me, it's the Kyle Hotz, Dan Brown cover.
Yeah.
For sure. That's the one I ordered the most of. But the interesting thing is that now I have to get Kyle Hotz to do a commission of Geiger for me, just because I just am so in love with the way he draws the characters.
It's beautiful. So. Got to point out the penultimate issue of Gotham City Sirens, Unfit for Orbit, mainly because this very closely just got edged out of being in the top 10 list. But you have to love the Egyptian theme of this Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley. Amazing, amazing cover by Dubovich.
Just before that is a gosh darn tragedy.
Third printing.
Yes, third printing, allocation maker. Guys, the Chris Condon one-shots have been hot. You look at news from the what was the book that came out this week? News from the thing.
I have it in my other room. I don't want to go grab it.
But anyway, that book sold out really quickly. So make sure you're ordering these ahead of time.
We should make a show for that.
Yeah. Make us both wake up early on a Friday morning and do a show and talk about what you should order ahead of time. Anyway.
Yeah. So here's another big one. Hero Trade. The Hero Trade comics have been unobtainable for most fans, even big Bad Idea fans for ages, because Bad Idea did, well, bad ideas of making them super rare, hard to get books, whether they were only available for one day and one day only, or they were sent under false pretenses to comic shops in very limited quantities that couldn't make it out and made them four-figure books to purchase on the aftermarket within just a week. It's crazy. But Bad Idea, let's be calm here. Bad Idea had some good ideas finally. I am going to credit mainly their incredible sales rep in the way of Sienna. But you can now get all of the Hero Trade in a trade paperback for like $13. $13, you can get that and read everything and catch up. And you're going to want to, because this is Matt Kent and David Lapham together, two powerhouse comic creators that make indie rock star level. New 2-issue miniseries called Hero Trade Project Chimera is going to deal with two super powered twins that are on a whole other level, and the people who are trying to keep them in check. This is a 64-page thick book, part 1 of 2 on there. Some great covers. Obviously, you got the infamous Rob Liefeld. For those who love Rob Liefeld, doing a cover. Kind of shocking, because I really figured Rob was very self-focused at this point in time, only doing his Youngblood and all that. But got to give Dinesh credit. He is on Hero Trade. Meanwhile, over in Ghost Machine's family-driven Family Odysseys universe, Halo and Hornsby and Halo, if you will, continues on. I love this book. This book is so amazing. But then to get an actual angel and a demon, our protagonists, to be playing in a school play about Milton's infamous Paradise Lost, this is going to get amusing, unquestionably. I am all in.
Peter Snaberg hit it out of the park there.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, the Sean Von Gorman is also a very cool cover. Looks very, very much like real leaded glass, stained glass. So I think he did a great job there as well.
All right. Here's one I have to directly talk about because I love this to death. I Am the Law, How Judge Dredd Predicted Our Future. Michael Molcher wrote this masterpiece that not only gives you a bit of a history of Judge Dredd, but he really does talk about how relevant this is, shaped and affected policing far from in America, but, throughout Great Britain and more. And I hate how importantly relevant this book is in modern times. I mean, I love this book to death to the degree that it is literally right here, for me. I got my copy signed by, Michael when it first came out. This is an amazing book. I will be 100% honest. When I was an Eisner judge, I really pushed for the nomination of this because I loved it so much. I will be honest, I also wasn't expecting it to win, and I'm very happy it won the Eisner. And if therefore you are curious about this brilliant book that not only talks about foreseeing, the future of policing through comics, but also foreseeing a future that we're unfortunately kind of getting far too close to now, why this won an Eisner and more, you want to grab Michael Molcher's I Am the Law. This is amazing. And again, it's a great thing because now we have Rebellion over at Lunar. We can order all this. I hope to see a lot of shops stocking up on their progs, on their 2000 AD collections. But I Am the Law is a prose novel in a week where we're talking about a lot of prose novels on the FOC show, but one that stands so far above and beyond as a nonfiction masterpiece. 100% worth your time and money. 110%.
I'm not going to do my Stallone impression.
There we go. Did anybody ever tell us the name? I am completely lacking of who was Dredd in. I
think Tommy got it.
It was the actor who played Eomer in Lord of the Rings. Yes, that also is 100% correct. And I cannot remember his name at the moment. Carl Urban. Carl Urban. There it was. Hit me like a ton of bricks. Carl Urban.
Okay, I will do my Stallone impression. I'm going to do I Am the Law from Judge Dredd as Sylvester Stallone.
There we go. All right, Ice Cream Man hitting issue 44. It is working its way up to 50, which I am certain it will land. We have a bunch of other continuing ones. Justice League Unlimited, number 9. Um, Lots of fun. Kaya, we're getting the Lilith trade paperback finally. If you haven't read Cornhow's Lilith, it is a very naughty, very mature, and very violent book that looks amazing. Speaking of things that fit in that similar realm, Look Into My Eyes looks absolutely amazing. This is Ruben Kuehl's new book about social media horror as a new app takes over a small town and a young girl goes missing. The interesting thing about this comic, aside from just brilliant artwork and writing, is that it is filled with QR codes, so you can play along, and you're going to be afraid to play along. I'm not going to lie. This is. I'm so thankful we've yet to get a horror movie that does this. Like, hey, as you're watching the movie in theaters, pull out your phone and QR code into this because it'd be too much for me. But this one really excites me. I'm not even a horror fan, I hate to say, but this one has everything right to creep me out and drag me in kicking and screaming.
Yeah, well, Greg said the trade dress is really cool.
Yeah, but I mean, Maria Lovett's B cover also just a nice paranormal haunting and amazing piece there. I mean, Maria, if you can get Maria, like, if you can get Robert Hack, Franco Francavilla, or Maria Lovett to do your horror, you need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Lost Fantasy continuing on. I love their PlayStation homage covers as the B covers each time. All sorts of fun. The incredibly, eternally amazing Michael Turner, one of the greatest human beings to have ever walked this earth, let alone drawn comics, has a Art of book, brand new hardcover with dust jacketing coming from Clover Press. Mike was a friend and a wonderful human being, so I always have to put that out. Great forward by Joe Quesada in there. So if you have a little bit of money and you don't already own every Michael Turner cover, hell, even if you do, might be a fun one to add to the collection.
Nice coffee table book.
Yeah. Pug Publishing doing a new 3D Marvel book. It's Marvel Zombies #1 by Robert Kirkman of The Walking Dead. So really, really fun one to flip through in 3D. Comes with your own glasses too, in case you need them. Halfway point on Mr. Terrific, the new history of DC Universe. As the new history of the DC Universe hits the Crisis era, we not only have a beautiful Frank Cho cover I have to show off there, another connecting Koblish cover, but look at that Crisis style Ryan Sook masterpiece. That is the 80s of DC if there ever was.
True.
Yeah, a lot of fun ones. Rockefellers starts its new story arc as we deal with the reveal to the family of some of these key moments. Rockefeller's definitely something we'll be talking about again in the top 10 momentarily.
Yep. Very cool. There's a bunch of that I ordered as well. But again, we're jumping into the new volume there. People have been waiting not a long time, but they've been waiting anxiously for that book. So it's good to have it back.
Yeah. A lot of great Dynamite titles with many, many great Dynamite covers on FOC this week now that they're back at Lunar, or now that they're finding a home at Lunar, which is great. But this is a big one for me also. Sixth Gun. If you didn't read Sixth Gun, it was a phenomenal series. Manga-esque, if you will, by Cullen Bunn and Brian Hurt, of a group of characters fighting to put together the ultimate weapon and change the world with it. The series was a complete and amazing masterpiece with a beginning, middle, and end. And we hit that end 15 years ago. Now we are back as Sixth Gun returns for a new 3-issue miniseries set decades later as we try to piece together the Sixth Gun once more.
By the way, these are 3 ad-free prestige format issues.
Yeah.
These are huge books that Cullen has done. The elevator pitch on this is Constantine meets Hell on Wheels, or Constantine meets any of those, like the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. any of those great gunslinger stories of the Old West post-Civil War meets, again, like the search for some occult masterpieces like a Constantine or a Supernatural.
Yeah, it is amazing. I am super hyped to get this return. And the book promises to be a new entry point if you are a new reader that's never read Six Gun, but there will be the nods and references for those of us who loved every single issue of the original series. So.
And I hope if Torma or Hunter or anybody's listening, that we can get a new printing of the trade paperback of Six Gun, so that people who do want to go back and read it don't have to spend through the nose for the very long out of print trade paperbacks and graphic novel forms of the first volume.
Yeah, I think I have the Coffin edition hiding somewhere in my library. So, got to show off Bloodletter really quick. If you didn't read issue number 1 that came out a few weeks ago, that was unbelievable. It was so good. Issue number 2, I love the idea of someone who can be a true threat to Spawn as our protagonist. She is not a hero, but she is an incredible protagonist. Curse of Shirley Johnson and Rat City continuing on to keep in that Spawn universe vibe. But here's a big one. Superman fans, it's the summer of Superman. We've been saying it. We got a movie coming and all that. But Superman 28 is a key issue because this is the next big moment for All In. You read the DC All In one shot. You saw what happened with Darkseid. You saw the creation of the Absolute Universe. Maybe you flipped through Aquaman and saw that Omega piece. But this is the next big one as we deal with the Legion of Darkseid. Darkseid's Legion. Not the Legion of superheroes in the far-flung future. This is the big all-in group. Legion of Darkseid starts here. Joshua Williamson writing it with the incredible Dan Mora, because Dan Mora clearly can't draw enough comics until he's drawing every comic on stands. I don't know if you guys saw the news that he's now the Transformers artist. But this is all-star. Joshua Williamson, Dan Mora. We're getting a big all-in tie-in and event here. This is it. This is some big Superman reading right here.
Oh, we skipped over a little bit Bloodletter.
Oh no, I did talk about Bloodletter.
Okay, so just guys, if you haven't read Bloodletter Volume 1 or Issue 1, still available in a lot of stores. Go pick it up for Volume 2. I just read Issue 2. Joe sent me Issue 2. Holy crap on a cracker. Anyway, I was trying to get confirmation from Torma about the Six Gun thing, and they're going forward with the omnibus format going forward, so they will have that coming out to go with the new Six Gun re-release.
All right, let's talk a little bit of Panic. Brand new comic from the new publisher Panic. It is called Tama. You gotta love these two covers there. That 1 in 10 Tony Fleets, that is that classic Pokemon Yellow homage right there. But Tama, look at that Dust in the Wind cover. I mean, these covers are brilliant. Is a dark, effed up horror. I have to wear that. It pulls you in looking kind of cute, like it has potential of what would happen if Pokemon or Digimon or Neopets or Tamagotchis went wrong. And by page 2, you are covering your eyes in gore and graphic insanity. Like, this punches you. I don't even want to say it punches you in the gut. It punches you so hard in the nose you can smell the iron in your blood, and you're left just jaw on the floor. This is an intense, effed up book. That is what I will say. But yeah, it's crazy. I've got to read the first few issues of it. It just gets worse and worse as it goes on for anybody surrounding our protagonist. It is a tragic tale of a young boy who stumbles upon this pocket monster, if you will, and that pocket monster is his friend and doesn't like when people mess with him. And while I know you've heard that concept in at least a handful of horror movies, this brings it to another level. Then we get The Voice Said Kill. I'm not gonna lie, I love Cy Spurrier. This one didn't grab me, but it is.
Oh, this one shouted at me.
Oh, did it? Oh, well then talk it up.
Well, the thing about it, the thing that like spoke to me is the elevator pitch. Fargo meets Deliverance in a sweaty swamp thriller. It's a Vanessa Del Rey concept written by Cy Spurrier. So just think again, Fargo, like the sort of almost Wes Anderson style storytelling meets Deliverance, which we all know, but in Louisiana, in Cajun country, fighting alligator poachers, and the cop is the only good guy, but even the cop's not so good. I like the idea. This just feels to me like it was written to be a series that you could watch on Prime or whatever, and it would reach out to your boomer parents who watched like that show, like the Alligator Hunter show guy, those kind of things. But it's gonna be great. It's again, it's a mystery story set in the swamps of Louisiana, and organized crime and all the stuff Cy Spurrier is good at.
Yeah. Now, one that needs no explanation, though it is an odd comparative, is Thundercats Powerpuff Girls. Say it with me: Thunder, Chemical X. Two completely different, decade-separated eras of cartoons. You have the 80s of Thundercats and the 2000s of Powerpuff Girls. And I'm expecting the nostalgia to hit both generations and come in for this weird combo that Paulino Ganush has done. But Paulina, an incredible artist, also now writing. I am excited on this. This is going to be a really, really amazing one, and brilliant covers beyond belief. Look at all those awesome covers. Wow, just so many great covers. Same with Vampirella Armageddon, as Tom, I will always screw up Tom's last name.
Snagowski.
Tom Snagowski returns to Vampirella and brings us the brand new Vampirella Armageddon. Beautiful, beautiful covers across the board right there. Cooper Ball, who is always a talented artist, is going to be doing the interiors with amazing all-star creators doing the covers like Lyrics Lee, Francesco Mattina, Mark Spears. We have cosplay covers from Raichi, Faces by Raichi. Everything about it amazing.
All right, guys, we are coming down to the we got to get out of here time. So we'll speed through Void Rivals, Betty and Veronica Jumbo Comics, Vanishing Point, and let's get to the top 10.
Let's do the top 10.
This is the point when Kyle has been sitting for too long with his leg not elevated, so we need to move. Top 10.
So first off, before we even get to the top 10, I have an honorable mention, the best of John Wagner's Judge Dredd. If you want to use the advantage of Lunar now has Rebellion to discover the progs of 2000 AD and Judge Dredd, this is the best way to start. This is a $35 hardcover of some of the absolute best stories of Judge Dredd, including artwork by Brian Bolin. You're getting John Wagner's incredible writing. This is the way to enter into Mega City. Then let's hit the 10.
Sorry, Torma's trying to get me to come to San Diego. Here we go.
As one should. I'll get you to come to San Diego. In number 10, Comic Book Creator 40. This is a magazine, not a traditional one for us to make in the top 10, but this entire issue of Comic Book Creator is focusing on the late, great David Stevens. Dave Stevens, known for being the creator of Rocketeer, doing some of the sexiest covers in comics. This is going to have all sorts of photos, art, interviews with friends and creators that Dave affected and touched, as well as you're even going to have an interview with the director of the recent Dave Stevens documentary. If you are a fan of Dave Stevens, I feel this is a must own. And I think that there are fans in your store if you're a shop owner of Dave Stevens, so it might be worth considering stocking on the wall. Rockefellers. I mean, Rockefellers is kind of like a modern, youthful sci-fi, not that they aren't sci-fi, Fantastic Four. So doing this wonderful Fantastic Four #1 homage by Raymond Box, it had to land in the top 10. It is an amazing piece.
All right. Up next,
You can hear it.
California Love.
There it is. Dun, 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 dun. DC's California Love. I mean, obviously, we had to. Bernard Chang doing this. I mean, look at that southward facing shot down the 101 freeway at the Malibu Pier. You can see those wonderful sands north of LA. Like, that is California. The palm trees behind the superheroes. Bernard Chang, who is Californian, knows how to do that. Then we have Mark Spears' Vampirella Armageddon #1 cover. Of course, no Vampirella on it because it's connecting to Mark Spears' Monsters upcoming issue that will have Vampirella. Great way of connecting Mark Spears covers. Mark Spears, one of the hottest artists currently in the industry. You know that's going to be an in-demand book. Now,
Mark Spears, by the way, doing a signing today in Florida, had a line wrapped around the building at 8 a.m.
I can only imagine. So now, as you mentioned, coming to San Diego, it seems the Zombie Tales are coming to San Diego. Hello Darkness #13 has a great Dave Johnson cover where we have one of the zombies from Zombie Tales outside the infamous Hall H. And for anybody who has attended San Diego Comic-Con in the past few years, I hate to say you've probably seen or heard the religious protesters protesting comics and Comic-Con outside there. So there's a bit more of a nod in that that Dave Johnson put together, but must-own cover, especially for those big Comic-Con attendees and fans.
If recent weeks have been any indication, avoid Hall H this year. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I will say, I wonder if those protesters will sign the comic they're on the cover of.
I bet they will.
The Curse of Shirley Johnson. Oh, issue 1 was unbelievable. That full page splash at the end. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you have ever loved Spawn, horror, Lone Wolf and Cub style action, you need to go grab issue #1, assuming you still can. And then this issue #2 cover by Dan Panosian. As I said, he is on a whole other level over these past 2 years. Thundercats and Powerpuff Girls, that incredible Nicoletta Baldari cover featuring Chitara and all 3 of our Powerpuff Girls. This is the women-heavy cover, and I love it. Then Nathan Zerdy giving us our haunting first true look at Darkseid's Legion on Superman 28. That is just... That pools the darkness and violence that will give you the no life equation, whether you know the math to it or not. Then Look Into My Eyes, Ruben's incredible cover. Remember, Ruben is writing and doing the interiors on this. This is going to be awesome. And it gives you the true vibe of this app, that has led to a missing girl and all sorts of wonkiness and darkness and paranormal activity happening in this small town. This is horror of my kind written all over it. But what's the big #1? Well, the big #1's actually 2 covers.
And it's actually a 1A.
1A? Oh, yes, 1A. Okay, because it sounds like it might be 3 covers, but 1A being Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Volume 3, #1. I had to go with that FOC variant by I think that's Declan Shalvey. But that is amazing seeing the crossing points of the Turtles and the Power Rangers.
Plus the Tula cover on the other one. Oh my God.
Yes, Power Rangers Prime #9, revealing our brand new Green Power Ranger. The wonderful Greg from Boom spoiled it. It will be out, I think, next week in Power Rangers Prime issue #8. that we get the big reveal that Rita Repulsa will become the new Green Ranger. And there is the full first appearance and cover appearance of Rita Repulsa, Green Ranger, Lisa Wood, Tula Lotay doing an incredible job with that awesome piece.
Then 1B, which Mathias didn't know I was doing because I just was freelancing.
Well, then you got to talk it up then.
The beautiful FOC reveal variant of Power Rangers Prime #9, the H cover by Eleonora Carlini. Again, the sitting on the mountain of bodies, with the helmet off. This is just this is how I want to imagine Rita Repulsa, if I can't imagine Rita Repulsa from the original series.
Yeah, I mean, the classic silhouette from the original series hidden in there is awesome. I love that it's every one of those Green Lantern helmets. I can probably only name half.
Green Ranger.
Sorry, Green Ranger. I can only name about half of them. I'm sure some hardcore Super Sentai Power Ranger fan can name every single one of those. I see Turbo. I see the original. I see, a couple different ones in there. Those are awesome. But yeah, that's the top 10 for comics that are on FOC this Monday, June 30th. Kyle, what else do we have on the XP this week?
So later tonight, Nikki will be doing the original art show. He has this Casper cover that I'm considering mortgaging my house for to get. He's got amazing art. Then Nancy is doing a mystery vintage sale. Mystery, you ask? Well, it's because she doesn't know what vintage she's going to show, but she will, as always, be doing several different things, including letting you make requests. Then Sunday night, to just give everybody some nightmares here in the last minute or two, Sunday night, Henri Compen and I will be doing a crossover live sale here on the Experience for Sunday 9 to midnight Eastern. Sunday Night Heat. I apologize for what I've just done to your eyeballs, but Henri and I will be doing that. And then on Monday, that's 9 to midnight on Sunday, by the way. Then on Monday, we will have the Comic Collectibles be back with Rex. Jay and I will be back with Second Shift Lunch. And then Bronze Age Nerd and Big B McFly will have Best Coast Comics, yet another California. Anyway, but then we will move on to Tuesday with Minute to Skim It. Welcome to Wonderland and Kicking It with Henri. Wednesday, we'll have Comic Collectibles with Rex. Jay and I will be doing more fantasy casting. You guys seem to like it when we do that. So this time, I'm bringing the characters, and Jay is going to have to try and figure it out. Then Thursday is a big day. Thursday is July 3rd. So be aware, Thursday is July 3rd. So we will have What's in the Box with Miss Jen. We will have the Geek Chat at their new time, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. And then Sketch Up with Mel and Mog, Sketch Up with me. I'm hosting Sketch Up, 10 to midnight Eastern. Then on Friday, I haven't cleared this with Mathias, but even if he can't be here, I will be here. FOC doesn't stop just because it's a holiday.
Oh, I will be there with all the independents of comics.
Absolutely. We will be doing this show. It will be the only show next Friday. Nick and Nancy are taking next Friday off to celebrate, explosions, I guess. So we are going to be the only show next Friday celebrating FOC and independence. So maybe I will do something special for the show, like, I don't know, wear an Uncle Sam hat or something. We'll figure it out. But that is the next week here on The Experience. Be watching on Monday. Guys, follow our socials, follow our email, all that kind of stuff. Be watching on Monday for a colossal announcement. Going to officially make it, and that's going to force me into pulling it off. So we're going to make the announcement on Monday, and we will see everybody next Monday.
All right. Thank you guys all for watching.
Be good to each other. Peace. I have to hit the end button.